welcome back to the channel. It's Wendy and watercolouring, and today I thought I'd show you something that I'd been very kindly sent by, as you can see, Grabie. So yeah, they contacted me a few weeks ago now to say would I like to have a look at some of their watercolours, and yeah, I've started to do a little bit more watercolour work in my books, and I've been buying the odd bits and pieces myself, so it is something that's been on my radar, something I'd like to improve my skills on, so I thought why not. So this arrived yesterday, this cute box. I love the packaging straight off. The packaging is most definitely a win, so I thought I'd have a look at it. We do the swatch of it, see what they actually look like, and then I was half thinking I might do a little bit of some background work in my artist edition of Summer Nights, because the paper is, well, it's not really paper, is it? It's like cardy stuff in here, so I thought that might take the watercolour quite well and we don't have to battle with the paper. So what is this? So they've sent me the 50 watercolours, and yeah, we'll break into it. And it's got two little things in here. It's got, oh hello, I've caught it on something. Oh, there we go. It's got the lovely tin, and we've got a box of something else, and I can feel this little postcardy thing. Let's move that out of the way as well. It's got little codes. May the art be with you, quite like that. That's quite cute. Then for the main thing, oh, I've got a little bit of a dinge in my post, but it doesn't really matter, does it? It's not going to hurt it. It's the beauty of a tin like this, isn't it? It's completely protected, so it's got one of the nice little clips on it. And then, oh, we've got swatch chart of our colours, of which there are quite a lot. Then we've got some more goodies. So we've got a waterbrush pen, quite a thick, big chunky bristles on that, in its nice little container. We've got a little square-ended synthetic brush, obviously the usual little palettes. We've got a little cleaning sponge, and we've got a nice bit of mylar just to protect the lovely colours. Yeah, I quite like that as a palette. That's some quite nice colours in there, isn't there? Quite a few of my favourite tones. Love these. Love a bit of pink, nice leafy looking green, some teals. What more do we want in life? So I think that looks lovely, and these are a good idea, aren't they? They're having a little bit of mylar in there that fits in quite nicely, so you can just literally take it somewhere and shut it without all that going all over the rest of your tin. Then they've also sent me a little box of brushes as well, and these, excuse the reflection, let's depackage them. Ooh, easier said than done. So we've got, these are all seem to be detail brushes, which again suits me perfectly well. Let me de-plastic all of these. Perhaps should have done that before. Don't. Fortunately they come off quite easily. Oh, don't roll away. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got. Oh, if I don't drop them everywhere. So we've got quite a range of bristles going on, from like super tiny. What was that one actually called? 000. Yeah, it's pretty small. Let's detube them, because I think that would also. Oh, hello, doesn't want to come off that one. Come on, you know you want to. So we've got quite a range from super tiny to something that I would say, well, they're saying that's a 3, which probably, yeah, is probably about right. Is that a 2 then? Yeah, so you've got, let's get them in order. 1. Oop. Can't coordinate my hands today. We've got a 00 and a 0, so those are in between. So they should be in that little order, so that they make more sense like that, don't they? But these ones, 000, I do love having some teeny weeny brushes, because obviously colouring book stuff, there's some quite small, teeny, tiny pages, isn't there, and details, and a good set of brushes to try and get in there is really useful. So they've sent me this little set, which currently, let's get my phone on, let's find it, on their website at the moment, today while I'm filming, it is this one. Hello. So currently showing on their website with the brushes is at the moment on reduction, so for $35.99, so you can get that set. There's also a nice bigger one there, I noticed. Greedy. Yeah, for another £4 you can get an even bigger one, look. Hey. That one doesn't have that nice brush set with it though, so you pick your choices. They have also sent me a code as well that you can use, so if you're interested in this you can get 15% off just by using Wendy15. I'll pop it in the description below, just in case. On this, I think it's off anything on the site, not just this particular set, so feel free to use it to get saving if you wish. I'm obviously in the UK and I think this is an American company, so hence why everything's in dollars, obviously. So your shipping will probably be considerably quicker than mine, because obviously it's come quite a way to get to me today, but I think it's still only taken 2 weeks-ish to get to me, which is not bad really, so that option's there. And I did notice when I was just having a nosy about on their site, because obviously I didn't know a huge deal about Grabie, is that every purchase you make, they'll put £1 towards the charity, which donates art equipment to places that need art equipment, so schools and other kind of services that might use art equipment for good reasons. So you're also donating to charity if you decide to buy from them. So yeah, I think we've done all the words. Let's have a play. I'm going to move my postcardy out the way because you know me, I'll get it everywhere because I'm stupid like that. Now then, let me also move that acetate and also move all of these out of the way. I have already got myself some water handy. I don't think we need all of these brushes, do we? How big are these little swatchy charts? Not massive, so let's go with, what is this? Number 1. We'll go with that and pop those out of the way. And I noticed when I was having a little bit of a casual look that the swatch start works this way up, so black is there. I would naturally have it I wonder if I could turn that round. No, we won't try that. We won't try that. That would be silly. So we just need to wet some of these, so we shall do that as we go. Now, obviously this swatching is going to take me a little bit of time, which I totally appreciate. It's not everybody's idea of a good time, so I will probably fast forward my swatching of it so you can still see it, but it's a bit quicker than me taking all day doing it. And then once we've got the swatch chart sorted, we can start having a look at how I might use these in my colouring in my Hanna Karlzon page. So there we go, all prepped. So yeah, I might vanish into fast forward now, at least you don't have to listen to me wittering on. Let's pop that like that, I think, and it's not tilted, and I'll try and get these done for you. Let's just get any transit glue off that and wet it. Oh, I quite like having a thicker body on the brush, actually. That's quite comfortable. Okay, no doubt you're fast forwarding, so see you at the end. Okay, so we are all swatched up, if I can get hold of it without dropping it everywhere. Clumsy, I'll describe it. Yeah, what do I think? Yeah, I do quite like the colour palette, definitely. I think that definitely suits me. There's a few colours that behave a little bit more unusually. So the pink lilac, this one, I noticed when you wet it, it looks a lot lighter, a lot softer colour, but then as it dries back to pretty much what you can see in the palette. And I noticed the pink did that as well when I put water on it. Let's see if it'll do it again. When you put water on it, it looks a lot lighter straight away. It looks like a whole shade lighter when you have it, but once it dries on the paper, it dries back to the vivid colour that you see on the palettes before you started. So there's a few colours that definitely change slightly their appearance when you're using them wet, but they dry back to what you originally saw in the palette and it dries back to what you can see on here. I think, yeah, the pigment seems pretty strong in them. Some of them are pretty strong colours. Some are fairly translucent, so from light green through to, I say, putting green here. That row seemed a bit more translucent, but a good chunk of them are fairly opaque looking paints, really. All of these seem quite opaque, all of these did as well. All the browns are pretty strong. So yeah, the colour payoff seems pretty strong in it. They dissolved really easily. There was a couple that, as you saw, I do it with my little tea pipette thing. A couple, the water went down down the side of the little paint pan, so it wasn't sitting on the top to actually make the paint fluid. So I did have to put the water on straight away as I was swatching it. They dissolved really nicely, quite quickly, straight away. I don't think you need to pre-wet them like I did. I suppose I just do it because lots of paints do need it. This set seemed to manage quite fine. It dissolved quite quickly into a strong colour quite easily. Yeah, I am pretty pleased with it. It's a nice range of palettes. I don't think I love the order of the palette. It kind of feels like it's upside down to me. Like, I suppose I'm used to having yellow up here, then going into reds. So I think that would be my only criticism, that I'm finding the palette arrangement of the colours a little bit more unusual. But yeah, we can work around that, can't we? As long as the paints are okay. I think I would normally work with it that way, which then means all my names are upside down, because I'd probably have that on there while I'm painting with it. But I'm not bothered about the names, so it doesn't matter whether I can read the names really to me. As long as I know which colour's which, that will probably work for me much better. But yeah, quite pleased with it. Brush, like I say, I quite like these. I think they're quite, this little bulbous bit at the end is quite comfortable to hold. Thought it was a reasonable brush. As you can see, I've done 50 swatches. It's still pretty nice and precise. Yeah, quite pleased with it. Quite a nice little palette. Now, so I'm thinking we're going to do something with it other than just a swatch, because that's a better test of what we want to do. So I was umming and ahhing, because obviously they've sent this little postcard that I could paint fairly easily. That's also, I'm just like looking at these little tiny pencils down here, and I'm like, I would need that 000 brush to get in there, and then I'm not sure my eyes are up to it, but yeah, that's a possibility. But I'm thinking more likely I'd quite like to do a page in Summer Nights. So we need to take you out a little bit while I find a page in here. Let's just, oh, I've got stuff everywhere. Just let me move a few things. My glasses, my cup of tea. Just been and got clean water, because as you can imagine, after 50 swatches, my water wasn't looking too no, I'm still going to catch that. Let's just move it out the way for a minute till we've picked a page. So, my Summer Nights book. I don't know if you can still get these anymore. I haven't seen them lately. I got these pretty early on in my colouring journey. I didn't know a huge amount about Hanna Karlzon at the time, and I just thought, oh, shall I get the artist edition or the normal edition? Oh, I'll get the artist edition, because surely that'll be better. Not really knowing that there was a difference between this and the book. So obviously this only has 20 pages in it, and so I've since had to get the actual full book, because I'm an idiot and I only had this. But you know, so I'm going to find a page to do. As you can see, I've got a whip in progress there. I've got a terrible first thing I did with my Copics when I ever got them. That's awful. The background needs something on it. But I'll find something that I think might be nice for us to have a go. See, that's quite nice, isn't it? Where's my little bookie marks? Stinger bookmark in there. So we've got butterflies and then some little roses, are they? Because they've got little rose hips on them, haven't they? So that's a possible. Mushrooms, as you know, I love, but that's a lot of mushrooms to do with watercolour. I'm thinking no. See, this has got quite a nice background that we could work. You're a bit detailed. We'll not try a face. Obviously these I've done. So this is the kind of thing I'm thinking we can really play about with the colour on the background, because this, I think this background, did I do this with watercolour? I think I might have done. Or it might have been ink. but then obviously I've colour penciled the actual items. And that's what I quite like doing with this book, because you've got, oh, quite like that one. Should we do, so it's this one, I think, or my rose hips, decisions. I think I'm going to go with that one. I think we'll do that. Why not? So, got a bit of a mix. In fact, is that going to come out? That would be the easiest way to handle this, wouldn't it? Yes. That is the downside of those. They're glue bound, so obviously as soon as I use wet media on it, it falls out. Don't mind. Doesn't matter, does it really? It does not matter. I might want a actual, oh, I could use that as an actual palette, couldn't I? A naughty little bit of Mylar. Let's do that. Good plan. Now, I'm thinking brush-wise, what was the biggest brush in here? Biggest brush in here was a 3. How big is that? Let's actually get the glue off it. Might want something a touch bigger, just because that's quite a bit of background space. What's that one? 6. Excuse me while I'm all brushes. 4. Okay, so I think I'm going to add in my Winsor & Newton number 6, just because it's a little bit, as you can see, just a little bit bigger. This I'm still going to use though, because it's going to come in into between butterfly, moth, whatever we're having this as. And obviously out here is quite complicated, so I'm going to need to still use a lot of these nice fine ones. And I'll probably swap between these two. Colour schemes, not even thought about it. As you know, I quite like bright, vivid colours. So, I do like this purple. That's this one on the colour chart. So, and we've obviously got 3 lighter versions of it. So, we've got 2 more lighter ones. Let's have the white. Make sure that's nice and wet, and we'll get all of these, not that they're not wet because I've just used them, but I'm going to use quite a bit of paint doing this, so let's have a go. This might be a disaster. I do not on any level describe myself as a watercolour painter. I am not. I quite enjoy it. That, oh, I forgot about all these little dotty things here, you see. I enjoy it. Sometimes it goes well. Sometimes it's an absolute disaster. It may end up being an absolute disaster. Sorry in advance if it's a disaster. And you've bothered to follow it and it's a disaster. That'd be just typical. Right, I'm going to use this little star as a kind of stopping point there, rather than trying to add this all the way along the length. And now, oh, I'm going to use the lighter one. See how that goes. We might lose these tiny stars. Can always draw them back in, can't I, later? It's not the end of the world. Might be the end of the world if we lose the butterfly, though. Maybe I won't try and do that. Okay, so now I'm thinking I'm going to use this number 3 just to manipulate there a little bit. You could do fancy effects, chuck a bit of salt in it, and then it'll give you those little lighter patches where the salt's been. I'm not going to risk it myself. Okay. Get my big brush clean again. So I need to put the dark back in there. In hindsight, I'm thinking this brush was too big for this job. I might swap to the smaller one for the next sections. All the water's gone down the side again. But as you see, it soon wakes up. Don't want loads. Suddenly realised to take my glasses off. Might help if I had to put my glasses on, that would be useful, wouldn't it? I'm still finding it very difficult to get used to wearing glasses. Just used to my eyes actually doing the job they were supposed to do. But now, no, they don't want to. Obliterated a few more of the stars there, but you know, it don't matter, does it? Now, I'm thinking behind these little row of beads, I need to put a little bit of this darker paint in. So I'm gonna use this little 000. We'll see how fine it is. Definitely need my glasses on for this bit. Oh yeah, that's alright. Get into the little bits that I have not done well because I didn't have my glasses on. Don't want too much paint on this brush because these are tiny little spaces. Let's try and keep this little row of little beady things so I can do them in colour pencil later. You could paint them, I suppose, but I quite enjoy working on beads with colour pencil, so I'm going to do that. Actually filming today in daylight, it makes a very nice change. Don't know if you can tell, I still have to put light on because yeah, it's not super bright, but makes a nice change having a bit of daylight. The joys of being off work. So I think I'm fairly happy with that, but obviously now I've got to carry it on around. I'm thinking I'm going to ditch my 6 brush because it feels a bit too big. And we'll try it with 3. Do need a fair amount of water though. Okay, so these are just little spaces between the body, so I don't need loads of paint. Let's take a little bit off. Tell when I'm concentrating. I can't talk, I'm concentrating as well. I'm thinking I might just do a different brush with the light on, save me keep. I get fed up with cleaning brushes off. Is that just lazy? Yes, probably it is. So yeah, juggling 3 brushes in my hand now, fine. And I think I've got 3 and 2. The joys of having a nice set though. Sadly, I have no idea what these bristles are. They don't feel like they're synthetic, I have to say. I feel a little bit maybe they're synthetic, I don't know. I'm not, like to say, I'm no expert on these things. Again, I'm just going to take a bit off that because this is only a small little space. You could obviously get masking fluid and mask some of these bits if you just want to work over it quickly. You could mask all the little stars. I don't have any masking fluid myself. Oh, those things I keep meaning to try. Keep meaning to try some of the watercolour ground as well that quite a lot of people have been talking about. I suppose I always like to work with coloured pencil, and I'm guessing, again, please do correct me, but does that not leave a bit of a texture that'll then eat all your coloured pencils when you come to work over the top? Yeah, quite liking this so far. Let's have a look. See how it dries. Although the rest of the brushes are coming to attack me now. Okay, so I've got this little bit, and I'm just going to turn it slightly just to make life a bit easier. How high did I go up? I think I did go over the top of these, didn't I, last time? Downside of obviously using a smaller brush is that this will be, well, just come over the star. This will be drying a bit quicker because it's not holding quite as much paint. That might be better. Picked a bit more up. But obviously I want the two to blend into each other. Could have wetted it beforehand, but it does tend to dilute the colour a bit, and I quite like the colour strong. As I say, I'm no watercolourist, not suggesting for a second that I'm any kind of expert at this. Just showing you how I would use it, I suppose. Okay, so I got my base on. I'm going to swap to the lighter one. I don't know what really effect I'm trying to go for here, really. Just the colour changing, I suppose. going to go upside down so I'm not leaning over the wet paint because I'm a clumsy idiot and I'll smudge it all over the place. Okay, going to go the same. So now we've basically got three little sections, haven't we? We've got this section between this antennae, we've got another one here, and we've got a big one. So I'm going to do the little one first. Try and take a bit of that off. And I'm going to swap to the other one. Try not to obliterate the poor insect's head now, being a clumsy idiot. Oh. My dog's growling. I don't know if you can hear her. Probably means the postman's coming or something like that. She normally knows when he's on the way round. Poor Posty. He tries every day to try and make friends with her. She's not having it. I don't think she likes his reflective gear. I'm like, stop shouting at him. He's bringing me art supplies. Yeah, quite like that little bit. Okay, so we've got the bigger bit to do in the middle. Oh, these beads around the edge. Oh, I didn't do the beads around that bit, did I? Around the other side of the little brush. I'll have to do that. I'll have to do the boring bit. Yeah. I'm liking this colour though. It's drying almost like marbly looking, which again, quite like. I'm thinking I probably could have got away with this in the actual Hanna Karlzon book, but I thought it's probably just easier to have a go on this. I've not worked in this artist edition for a while. Swap. This is the little tiny antenna, if I'm not careful here. Whoa, why did I pick a page? It's got so many little details. A tricky little bit to blend because it's taken me a while to do the fiddly bit down there. It's not let this move quite as much as I would want it to. Just wet it a little bit, see if that helps. Oh yeah, that's a bit better. Okay. So I've got the last little bit of this purpley bit. Let's put that a bit more on a tilt. Ooh, not dry-ish. Okay. Still don't love that top bit there. Now I need to do the little bits on the other side of those beady things, don't I? So I've done up to there. Is that all the way around? Yay! I was thinking I had another quarter to do. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a background in there, and I want, let's get the lemon and water. Obviously all this needs some kind of background, but this is going to be a bit tricky because obviously it goes inside these bits of pattern, so whatever I do on here has got to go inside the holes. Maybe I'll keep that as a solid, but these ones definitely aren't, are they? So I'm going to need a colour that I know I can get exactly the same shade on, because otherwise when I come to do the details it's gonna be tricky. So I've already got the pink. Let's clean these brushes up for a sec first. I'm half thinking maybe some blues would look nice with that purple. Let me have a look at the sheet where we're up to. So I've used all of them, but it's also got this nice dark purple and Byzantine that's near those. That must be these two, mustn't it? Purple and Byzantine. Oh, this rose powder's quite nice as well. Dare I brave that dark purple, because it's quite dark. Or we could go completely opposite and go into these kind of turquoises. Those are quite nice with the pink as well. This is the downside of having a palette with 50 colours, because I can't decide. I managed to drip some water on my sky blue somehow. What in it? Oh, that's quite nice as well. Brilliant green purple. That's quite nice next to it. I don't know. Which one is that? So that must be this one. I might go with this one. Do I want to put some blue in with it? So we've got cobalt blue, sky blue, peacock blue, Prussian blue. I'm half thinking this kind of cobalt blue with this purple might be quite nice. Or I might be making my life very difficult, because this is already quite a big background, isn't it? I think this bit is definitely going to be that purple down there. I think that much I've decided. So we'll do that. I've switched back to my bigger 6 now, but I think once I get to the side bits here, I probably will go, well, maybe not the 000, I don't think we need that, but I might go back to the 3 out of those ones for when we get down here, because it's going to be a little bit finer. But for this bottom bit, I'm going to need something a bit bigger. I'm also going to just pop some paper under it, I think, as well. Not that I couldn't just wash this mat off, but, you know, save ourselves a bit of cleanup if we can. Right. Could be a disaster. I might regret it. See, this is another of those colours that when you see it wet, it does look lighter. It dries darker than it looks when wet. I have no idea if there's a meaning to that with paint. Probably a bigger brush may be what I needed here, but well, we'll just go with it. That's perhaps going to be the issue with these little sections of colour, isn't it? If I use a much bigger brush, it's going to struggle to get it in, to get the brush in there. This is a nice colour though. Obviously don't want leaving a big horrible tide line. This may need 2 coats, we'll have to see. In order to make sure I don't have any horrible tide lines, but we'll see how we go. I think this paper's fairly forgiving. Just obviously trying to keep all the wet edges wet. I'm going to have to live with that one. But again. Perhaps masking all these little beads might have been the way to go, because this would have been a lot easier with a big brush than it all masks. I suppose theoretically I could just have painted over them, because probably my luminance would probably still cover this purple. I just can't make myself do it though. Oh, I'm making a mess of this lovely palette. My poor raw ochre is contaminated with purple. Well, well. Such is the life of a paint palette. Now, I am aware it's looking a bit patchy at the moment, but that's okay. I think once it's dry, we will do another coat over the top of the same things. I might add some more colours over the top actually. A bit more interest with it. Obviously it's going to look patchy when it's drying anyway. Quite like the colour choice though, so I'll have a look. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to need another coat. Question is whether I do another coat of this colour or another coat of another colour. I may well fast forward you while I do the rest of this, because obviously this is not riveting viewing me painting around this in purple, especially if I have to do it twice. So yeah, you might have hit fast forward. Okay. Yeah, that took a bit longer than I was thinking it would. Forget how long these things take me. So I've got a good layer of that very nice purple on the background, which I do quite like, and see what it looks like when it's dry. I need to make a decision about what's going on in some of these little holy gaps that are going around the edge though, but I'm not going to work on them right now because it's going to mean leaning on this very wet background. So I'm going to pause you for now on the recording, and we'll come back to it when it's dry and I'll make some decisions about that. Okay, so I'm back and it's dry, and it's also, as you can see, it's a bit sunny. It's actually gone sunny while it's been drying. Going for my dog walk and it's dried in the meantime, and yeah, I'm fairly happy with where we are. But I think I'd like to add a bit more texture maybe to this background, because there's quite a bit of space in this background where I'm not doing a huge amount. So as you can probably just about see, I've fished out literally a bit of scouring sponge. I've chopped the scouring bit off, and I'm going to hopefully use a bit of this dark blue, what is it, indigo, that you can see I've probably just been re-wetting and having a more with, and using my little piece of mylar I'm just gonna build up a nice section of paint on here, because obviously if I start dipping that sponge in there I'm going to make even more of a mess of that nice palette than I have already. So I'm just going to fold it over because I don't want the corners of it, and equally I'm going to keep taking, might want my bit of paper towel with it as well, I'm going to actually keep taking some of the paint off. So let's just have a look. So yeah, I'm only going to add a little bit of texture here and there. I'm going to put my glasses on though first, because I might not be able to see where the edges are. So I'm not even totally sure how well it will show up. Budge up a bit. May not show up, who knows. But yeah, I just thought I'd make it a bit more interesting, and I'm half of a mind to do something similar with maybe a bit of gold metallic as well. It's going to be obviously tricky by these little beads. Not sure how well that's showing up for you. A little bit maybe, not a huge amount. I suspect it will show up more when it's dry, because these colours seem to go darker when they're dry. Well, that's certainly the impression they're giving me at the moment. Need some more paint. I'm really nice pink there. That's not what we want to do. Let's get quite a bit. Sunshine is not helping me see. I've kind of blocked the sun for where I'm filming here, but it's still kind of in my eyes a little bit. But you know, it's just nice to have a bit of sun. Didn't want to block it out. Not seen enough of it of late. See, you're going to catch it if I put it there. But getting bits of sponge on it, which is not really what I'd like, but yeah, I definitely think a bit of metallic as well over the top is what I'm going to go for. Might even try something a bit lighter once we've done all the dark. Annoyingly, as it always is, I know somewhere I've got a little painting set of natural sponges, you know, that are, you know, actual real washed up sponges that obviously give really nice texture because they're natural, not man-made like this thing, but yeah, can I find it when I came to think about it while we were having our dog walk while this dry? No, can I heck. Of course I couldn't find it when I wanted it. Room full of stuff that you can't find what you want when you want it. And no doubt when I've finished doing this and no longer need the sponge, then I will remember where I put it. Because that's life, isn't it? Okay. Still loving this purple colour. It's just such a nice, rich colour. I think that is the advantage of this palette over perhaps some of my others, that the colours seem quite strong in it, and you know, I do like a strong colour, but they've also got, you know, colours like this purple that smaller palettes don't tend to have. I think it depends what you've got, isn't it, whether it's something for you or not. Oh yeah, I'm quite liking this blue over the top. I quite like it. I think I'm back to square one now. So yeah, it's kind of just added to the kind of textured feel. So if I can pick my bit of mylar up, which I can't, just need to wipe that off. Excuse me while I do a bit of cleaning. Okay, so I'm thinking I quite like something really light now. A little bit over the top of what we've just got. I'm going to wet this blue. What is it called? Lake blue. This one. Oh, hello. Avoid the sun. Oh no, we can't. There we go. Lake blue. Try that. Get my brush clean. Right, where is it? That one. I might regret doing this in a minute, but yeah, it's supposed to be fun, isn't it? If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. It's only watercolour, isn't it? Worst case scenario, I can wet it and sponge it off again. Now, I need to get another bit of sponge though, because that one's now full of blue. Hold on, I'll pause you and get another bit of sponge. Okay, so I'm back with a big sponge. Couldn't find the ones I want still. But yeah, as you can see, I'm literally just chopping off the actual scouring bit. Once you get it going, it'll kind of rip anyway. That'll be good enough. Then I don't want a massive piece because obviously some of this space is quite small, so I'm just going to chop this down into little bits and pieces. Not glamorous, but will do the job. Okay, so I've got a pile of clean ones, yay! This advantage of this is obviously it gives me a ripped surface, so it's a little bit, as you can maybe see, I don't know, it's not quite so neat as the manufactured side, which is what I want really, because I want it to be quite random. So I've got my paint that I'd started before I had to go on sponge hunt again. I'll just add a bit more to it, check it's still going. And start this sponge off. So you kind of want a semi-dry sponge really. You don't want to soak it because we want the kind of, well, I want the texture. So this is a slightly lighter colour, so it's just really almost to put a bit of highlight in the background, but in the nice blue that we're looking at. My dog's running in, running out. Sorry. You might just hear her little feet. I'm sure she waits for me to switch record on. She's literally just been sat here while I've been rooting for sponges. Not moved. Sat down to start. Now I must run in, run out. bit of sponge there that I can see. That's annoying. No, oh, that was quite a lot. Oh, I was just about to say, no clue how much of this you can see, and then I dabbed a load on. That's perhaps a bit much. Do you get a bit much, just use a bit of the dry, bit of the sponge, just to pick it up and move it. Like I say, I'm not totally sure how much of this we'll see when it's dry, but I quite like the kind of dapple-y texture I'm getting, so I'm keeping going. Actually, now I'm wondering whether silver would be nice over it as well, rather than gold. Let's get this bit done first, anyway. Not got enough paint now. Enough. It's probably enough to finish us off, that, I think, I was up to. Running out. I need just a bit. Isn't that typical? You've never got just quite enough, have you? I've made such a mess of this palette. But it's an art palette, that's what it's for, isn't it? Got colours that are all in the wrong places. I've basically destroyed these lines. It'll come off. Okay, let me have a look at it myself. Yeah, so now, again, sorry the sun's not helping. I don't know how well you can kind of see as long as I stay out of the sun, that it's got kind of like a dappled texture going on now. Just in the purple bit. So, I'm thinking silver or gold? That is the question. I'm thinking a bit of gold still. Hold on. Now, this brand, I think they do have some metallic palettes, but I don't have them. So I'm just going to use a little gold that I've got already. This might need a bit of getting going, but I need to clean this in the meantime anyway. So just let me wet this. Where's my cloth? This little, ooh, there goes my sponge. This little bit of Mylar's very handy. Right, let's put that sponge somewhere so I don't do that again. Want another bit of crookedy sponge. And I need to try and get this little bit of gold going. I have no clue how this will work over the top. Obviously the paint I've used up to now has got the pigments in these seem to be quite strong, so, and I've got a good idea because I've just used it how they're drying, so I was fairly sure that you would see still some of the pigment over the top of these. Now I don't want this gold to be in your face. I just want a tiny little bit of it. But in order to get it on the sponge, we need a fair amount of it. So let's pop that there. This could make a mess of it, or it could be amazing. Who knows? I think we'll just pop another light on, because the contrast between the light and dark, I think my camera is struggling with. Bit nervous now. This could go wrong. And the metallic is not as easy to shift. Do I like the pattern of it? Yeah, it's not too bad. Shall I do it? Oh, go on. Let's go for it. What's the worst? Yeah, I don't hate it. When I started painting this, I had no intention of sponging over it, but there you go. It's a bit of fun anyway, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Might be better to turn that around. I can actually see what I'm doing. Oop, that's a bit heavy. Let's just take some of that back off. Ooh. Too much gold. Might add a bit more of the purple over the top of that, because that's a bit much there. Oh, maybe I'll leave it. I am kind of liking it. I'm half tempted to do a little bit of white. I don't quite know why. I kind of feel it needs it. Let's get the white going. I've got room on here. Possibly. Should get a new sponge, but I'm going to be lazy. Still keep using this one. Oh, Molly, what are you doing? Dog's running about again like a crazy loon. That's running back. What are you doing? I just go mad and put too much in this top corner. It's like I get overconfident by the time I get round to the... Just go, yeah, that'll do. Okay. Do I like that? Yeah, I think I'm going to live with it. Okay, so I've still got background to do in between these little bits and pieces, if you remember that, because we've got flowers here and we've got this kind of pattern that I'm thinking needs to be metallic. But I definitely want to fill in these backgrounds with the paints because I think it still needs to be this same purple. So I need to repaint all these bits in, but because I've now put all that on top, I need to wait for this to dry again. If you have this Summer Nights book, I don't know how well you can see, but it is going a little bit on the curved side, but not badly. And obviously these are single-sided, so it's not the end of the world, but it won't take it too long to dry. I'm just trying to bend it back the right way. But yeah, that's where I'm up to so far. Yeah, I'm quite liking it so far. Quite like the rich purple. But yeah, I'll just give that a few minutes to dry off. It's not super wet already, and I'm going to clean up my many sponges and bits and pieces, and we'll be back just to do this in a bit. Okay, we're a bit dry now, and you can kind of see a little bit better because the sun's gone in for a moment or so, so you can kind of see there's a bit of highlight, there's a bit of reflection, but mainly you can see the blue. I've had a bit of a tidy up. I do seem to have got this everywhere. I have stained my mat here and here. So this palette is living with me forever because it lives on my mat forever now, even though I put paper down. So I'm thinking now, obviously we need to do these other bits, but I kind of fancy something maybe a bit darker than what we've used on the background. How is that wet? Or, honestly, I'm like a one-woman disaster. I have no idea how I've just got, look, obviously I was cleaning up, I've got this wet. So now I've just put my thumb in it. I'm not safe to be out. Right, so I'm half wondering about this dark purple, because this is the one we've used for the background, so this is just almost the same but a shade darker, so that's this one I think in the palette, because it's that way up. No, it's not, it's that way up, isn't it? So yeah, so it's this one, so let's get that going. Looks very dark when you see it in the palette, but it's not too dark in there, so fingers crossed it'd be okay. Now, how small are these little areas? What size is this? 1. I think 1 might be enough actually. So let's get this awake. Do with a bit of scrap of paper just to check how dark it is. Can I see one? No, I can't. Anyway, what's that? Yeah, that'd be okay, won't it, with that? Yeah, we'll go with that. I'll put my glasses back on now because outlines need to see. So these ones I'm going to keep as a solid thing, I think. But this one definitely not. Needs to be whole colour. So far I've been quite impressed with these Grabie brushes. They seem to be keeping their point quite nicely. I'm not kind of babying them or anything, I am just using them. What do we think? Oh yeah, quite like that because it's just a little shade darker, isn't it? Yeah, that's alright. And there's a good enough point on this that I can get into the detail. Just need to work out which bits I need now. Is that going to be a highlight or is that a hole? That's definitely a hole, isn't it, in the pattern? That looks right so far. So this is a hole. I think I'm going to have those bits as highlights. This like funny shape I'm thinking is a highlight. I'll deal with that with pencil when I do these little bits. I just know I'm going to paint one of these in that should be part of the pattern, not a background. There's something relaxing about doing this in paint, which is fine, but then my brain goes, oh yeah, you just get on with it, I'll have a I'll have a kip. You don't need me, you're just painting the holes, and then before you know it, you've painted a bit that shouldn't be a hole as the background colour. Maybe I'll do that bit before I do the next one, then I'm not leaning over it. Oh, it's a tiny bit there, a little tiny smidgy shape. Yeah. Is that all the bits? Oh yeah, I'm quite liking it. So far so good. We literally, while I was waiting for this to dry, I've been and walked the dog, and then we got back from walking the dog and I was like, she needs some treats. I run out of her treats. My dog, so that she didn't run mud all into the house when she'd been in the back garden when it was bad weather, which is most of the time here. She's trained so that when she comes back into the kitchen, she waits on her waiting mat, and she won't get off the waiting mat until you've given her her treat for waiting, so you can check her feet that she's not full of mud. Which is fine till you run out of the treats, and then your dog won't get off the waiting mat because she's like, you're conning me, I've done what I asked and now you're not feeding me. How rude. So yeah, we've had to go to the little place down the road which has a nice pet cafe, so we've had a cake as well. Every time I take her in the car, she's very good in the car, we can take her anywhere in the car, but as soon as she senses I'm parking somewhere, she has a look out the window, and if she doesn't know where she is, then she will cry. And she's got quite a loud voice because she's a schnauzer. Shouting is what they do, that's what they were bred for, to let you know something's going on. I'm like, shut up, it's so embarrassing. And as soon as you open the door, she's fine. She's like, oh, we're here, okay, fine. She'll shut up then, but yeah, occasionally it's quite embarrassing. Because it does sound like I'm trying to kill her or something in the car, because she's literally screaming. But yeah, we've had a cake anyway, it was nice. Now, is this circle a gem or a hole? Same with these bits. No, I think I'm going to keep them as a gem. Oh, there's little bits there that need to be the other purple look in there. Let's do this dark one first. I'll come back to that one. I haven't noticed it anywhere else. So yeah, we just had a nice cake out. Just sent my husband a nice photograph of Molly and the cake she was looking at on the table, but I hadn't given her yet. She doesn't have cake very often, it's a rare treat, but as I'm on my Easter holidays, I thought we'd have I'll not just quickly run in, get what we need and run out like you do normally. But we'll have a cake while we're here, we never do it. It did confuse the dog though, she's like, come on, let's go. No, we're not going. I've just got a cup of tea, we're gonna stop and eat this. No, let's go. No. She soon stopped when she realised there was cake on the table though. Cake, that's my favourite. Sorry, this is not quick work. It's gonna take a while. This video is gonna be hours at this rate. I'm quite liking it though. Yeah. I may put you into fast forward to get me round because you've pretty much seen it, you know. And it's going to take me a bit of time just to do these. Oh, hello. Bit of wind has knocked something off. I don't even look. Well, I can't look at the minute because I'm mid-flow. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty much, I think, done with the point where I would paint it myself. Clumsy, as you might have saw, I've just managed to, with my hand, print that onto a bit, but I've sponged it off a little bit so it's not too bad. Obviously it's pretty wet where I've just been working, but I'm pretty happy that pretty much all in watercolour now. I've got a base on, a little bit behind my butterfly moth, and yeah, I've quite enjoyed working on this today. These brushes I've quite enjoyed. They will get used a lot because I really am finding these this thicker body quite comfortable to hold. And yeah, as you can see, I've used pretty much most of these today. Bristles are holding up quite nicely. Still nice pointed bristles. Paint, I think, is if you're looking for a good starter palette that gives you a good selection of colours, I think this is a cracking little palette. They're not the most massive of little paint sections. I have used, as you can see today, obviously I've done a lot of paint with the purple, that what purple was it, that brilliant green purple. I've used that a lot today. It's a lovely colour, and I did 2 coats, so I've used a lot in that section, but there's still plenty more left in there. I've perhaps used most of that compared to everything else, but everything else is pretty much hardly touched. I've tidied up the mess that I made a little bit in the mix of the colours, but yeah, so far I've been quite pleased with this, quite happy with where I've got up to. I think this is a cracking little good starter palette if you want to have a go at watercolour and it's not something you've tried before, or you want a palette that you can literally chuck in your bag and run with it. Because this clips shut, obviously my palette is very wet, so if I'm going to shut it, I need to put my little thing back on. That little mylar piece is actually quite handy in terms of using it as a palette as well. It fit on lovely before, and now somehow I've done something so it doesn't. Oh, there we are. So yeah, the fact that it just clip shut, chuck it in your bag, that's handy as well, and it's quite a smart looking thing, isn't it? I do quite like it, but yeah, that can go in my work bag quite easily, and I could even fit the little swatch card in there as well, so that when you're using it you've got an idea of what these things are going to look like. Yeah, so thanks to Grabie for sending me all these bits of equipment. I've enjoyed using them. I'm going to record a second part to this video where I will colour pencil in the extra bits. I could paint these bits as well, but traditionally this is how I would normally use watercolour, in that I would do the background and the bigger spaces and then start to add the detail with pencil colour in those sections. Oh, I smudged that bit as well. Looks like I'm fixing that bit first as well. But yeah, thank you very much to Grabie for sending me this. The nice little watercolour set has worked quite nicely today. I've enjoyed using it. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got this far, goodness knows how many hours this video is. Feels like it's about 50 at this point. It's taken me quite a while, hasn't it? Hopefully when I fast forward good chunks of it, it won't be hours and hours and hours. But yes, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed some of it. Hope you're doing something lovely today. Bye bye.